Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of the Westmoreland Drug and Alcohol Commission.
Welcome to Westmoreland Community Connections, a look at issues and happenings on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. Here now is your host, Chad Amond, President and CEO of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce.
Hello and welcome to Westmoreland Community Connections. I'm your host, Chad Amond, President of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce. We are delighted to have on the show today Tony Ferry. Tony is the owner of Mountain View Financial Center, a new facility in Westmoreland County. It is along Route 30 in Unity Township, right before you get into Latrobe and right after you come out of Hempfield Township. Tony, thanks very much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Chad.
Well, it's great to have you. I think that the listeners need to know a little bit about your background. I know you're a lifelong resident of Westmoreland County, but for those of the listeners that don't know you, and I think that there's a lot that do, talk a little bit about your background and your time here in Westmoreland County.
Well, I was born and raised in Latrobe, about a mile south of the airport. Presently live in Unity Township at Mountain View and build homes for my family every 5 years. And we are now currently near the Mountain View Elementary School in the High Acres section of Unity Township.
Not far from, for those listeners there, that's not far from the Arnold Palmer Cancer Center and the old Mountain View Inn. But you have a partner, from what I understand. Talk a little bit about your partner and how you guys came to acquire or to have interest in the Mountain View Financial Center.
Well, Bob Hosa is my partner, and he's from Ligonier. He's a native and lives in Rector. He and I have been in the real estate business, combined experience of almost 70 years. And about 6 years ago, we were looking to establish a location for our real estate company, which is Keller Williams, the largest real estate brokerage firm in the world. And we wanted to locate in the Mountain View area. At that time, we had thought about locating in the new proposed strip center that was going to be built on the Mountain View site that didn't materialize. And 3 years later, Stickley Furniture had vacated the former Mountain View Interiors building, and we started to negotiate with the Davis family to take that building over. However, in the midst of our negotiations, the Museum of Art was building a new building in Greensburg and needed a location, so they opted to lease the Mountain View Interiors building for a 2-year term. So that took us out of the market at that time. About a year and a half ago, the museum moved out of the Mountain View Interiors building, and we approached the Davises again and entered into negotiations, and then a local convenience store group tied the building up with hopes of putting a convenience store there because the one convenience store finally got approval from Unity Township to be built on the former Mountain View site.
Right.
So when the second convenience store was denied, the building came back on the market in late 2016, and in December of 2016, we were able to come to an agreement with the owners to take it over in March of 2017.
Well, it is a beautiful building, and people go past it, and it has the big white columns and a nice brick facade. But talk to the listeners a little bit about the history of the building. I mean, not just the current history. I mean, I think that there's probably some folks that would remember that it was Stickley and definitely the art museum for a short time, which I appreciated. The art museum, the current art museum in downtown Greensburg, is just an absolutely beautiful facility. But awesome. When the art museum was at Mountain View, I live not very far from there. It was nice to be able to have basically an art museum in your backyard. But for those listeners that don't know the history of the building, talk a little bit about how far it goes back.
The building was built in 1972 by the Robert Davis furniture family. They had a 20,000 square foot above grade furniture store with a 10,000 square foot basement. The Davises occupied the building under Mountain View Interiors up until the 90s, until Mr. Davis's retirement. and at which time they leased it to Stickley Furniture. At the end of Stickley's lease in the mid-2000s, it came back to market, and we decided to pursue repurposing the building into a professional building. Big box furniture stores are somewhat limited these days, and we thought that there was a need for a professional building at one of the best locations in Westmoreland County in our eyes.
Well, and that's where Mountain View Financial Center comes from, right? And give the listeners a little bit about the background of the name. Why Mountain View Financial Center?
Well, we decided to name it Mountain View Financial Center because of the tenants hoping to attract to the building. We, as Keller Williams, are going to occupy about 7,500 square feet on the first floor. In conjunction with us, we have a mortgage company to support our clients, and that's AJM Mortgage. They have about 1,000 feet. We have an insurance company, Allstate, J. Taylor Insurance Services, that will handle any insurance needs that may arise. And we have a closing title company that, as you know, when you get into a real estate transaction, you need all these services. And if you have them under one roof, it makes life a lot easier.
So you have Keller Williams, you have the settlement service, you have the mortgage company, you have the insurance. And so all of those, it's a one-stop shop, right?
We like to think so. Thanks for seeing our vision. And we have a great cafe to start the process with, so you can grab a cup of coffee and then start on the real estate right.
And I have been into the cafe, and I will tell you, it is great. Tell the listeners a little bit of what you can get at the Mountain View Brew. It's the Mountain View Brew Cafe?
Yes.
Correct? Okay.
We decided to call it the Mountain View Brew Cafe based on coffee brew. And our initial thoughts were, when we have 10 tenants in the building, we did not want to have 10 coffee pots or 10 kitchenettes throughout the building. We decided to put a little coffee shop together. As you know, Chad, it turned out pretty neat. And we serve DeLallo meats, and we have La Prima coffee, which is our signature coffee out of the north side of Pittsburgh. And then we have Cali, which is a light roast from Hawaii. And then we have the the Kona is the light roast from Hawaii. The Cali is Colombian.
All the baristas out there were saying, Tony, what are you thinking, right?
Sorry. But we have teas, we have iced coffee, we have all the espressos and all the other things that I can't even pronounce. Yeah. But it's a full-service coffee shop.
Well, and when you walk in, there's you have a little bit of a vision for a visitor center coming in.
Yes, as you know, Chad, we've reached out to the local chambers as well as the Westmoreland Heritage office to donate the interior of our lobby as a Westmoreland Welcome Center to any new visitors that are coming into Westmoreland County and they need literature, they need maps. They could stop by and we could help them in any way we can.
You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. I'm your host, Chad Amond, president of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce. We're talking with Tony Ferry. Tony is the owner of the new Mountain View Financial Center. And Tony, when did the building open? Just a couple of months ago, right?
Well, we started business with the cafe in September. We were renovating for 4 months from March to the end of July, 5 months, I guess. The closing company, the mortgage company have been up and running since August, and our real estate company, Keller Williams, has been open since October.
Okay. With all of those businesses in there, and we're talking about it being a one-stop shop, your vast background in real estate and building, talk a little bit about and give that perspective from the Keller Williams vantage point of what is the marketplace that you're serving, and what is the current state of affairs in real estate in Westmoreland County?
Well, as we all know, Westmoreland County is a great place to raise a family, great place to invest in a home, in real estate of any kind. And we've decided that Keller Williams, one of the requirements was to locate in the center of their market territory. We want to concentrate on central Westmoreland County as far as Delmont and Murraysville, and to Ligonier Mountain, Donegal, and to Blairsville. So we can safely say that the Mountain View area is in the center of that territory.
Okay. Well, but from that realtor's perspective, you know, we talk about a lot with the chamber. We've got this aging demographic. You know, we're Westmoreland County. We've got some strong things, and we have some challenges, and we have some folks that are getting up in age, and not necessarily as many young people. Are you seeing that as a challenge in the real estate world?
Well, our retirement folks, they need places to live as well. We could use more single-family condo-type style living. Those are very popular now. Single-family homes, we've not had the starts that we'd like to see being in the real estate business. That only propels any buyers to look at existing properties. And as you see, a lot of times the existing properties are undertaking major renovations. With the decline in some of the real estate areas over the past few years, we've seen a dramatic increase in the market in Westmoreland County. We've really never had the boom as you hear in some of the other parts of the country, so we really never fell down as hard as they did it either.
Yeah, right.
We're pretty steady.
I kind of sometimes think, we work with a lot of the economic development, and from the business community standpoint, we say we never had the party, so we never have the hangover, right?
Absolutely.
That's kind of Western Pennsylvania. I mean, we have not really ever experienced that dramatic growth, but I guess the benefit of that is we really don't necessarily experience the dramatic decline as well.
Agreed.
One of the components to the Mountain View Financial Center that you were kind enough to take me on a tour of the building was the expo, I do believe it's called. What is that going to entail?
Yes, Chad. The basement of the Mountain View Financial Center is approximately 10,000 square feet. Approximately 3,000 of that we are in the process of developing into what we're calling the Mountain View Expo, which will be similar to a home type show where local businessmen, companies are going to be able to lease spaces. Mm-hmm. We have 50 spaces right now with 42 spoken for. Hopefully we'll get that up and running first quarter of next year. The beauty of that is the vendors will not have to occupy their booth.
So 42 of the 50 are already spoken for.
Yes.
What would give the listeners some idea? What are they?
Well, it'll be semi-exclusive. We'll only have 2 participants from each industry. We will only have 2 swimming pool installers, 2 contractors, 2 window companies, that type of thing. And again, they don't have to man the building or their booth. We as Keller Williams mainly, if someone wants to come in while our office is open and take a tour of the Mountain View Expo, one of our folks will take them through to assist them in any of their needs there. And that's the beauty of it is it'll be year-round. Yeah. It won't be a weekend here or a weekend there.
Wow, so that's even going to be more of that one-stop shop. So if you're going into that buy the house, you're going to be able to you'll do your settlement stuff, you'll do your mortgage. There's a bank going.
Yes,
right?
We have to touch on that. 2 months ago, an up-and-coming bank from Kittanning next year contacted us when they heard about what we were doing with the Mountain View Financial Center. We took them for a tour, and at the end of the tour, the president says, "We want to be here." And I said to him, "I'm sorry, we don't have any space for you." He said, "Well, make space." So we decided to carve out a space on the right-hand side of the Mountain View Brew Cafe for a new loan center, small branch of Next Tier Bank.
Well, that's a good problem to have when you own a building and somebody says, "Hey, make me some space," right?
Especially a bank. I mean, right. They see our vision. Unfortunately, we can't service everyone. We have to turn a number of retailers away weekly, professional, medical. It's hard, but we want to keep it as a professional center.
Well, it sounds like those are good problems to have. You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. We will be right back after these messages.
This is Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. If you have a suggestion for a topic, or if your nonprofit organization would like to be featured on this program, call us during regular business hours at 724-216-1200.
Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of the Westmoreland Drug and Alcohol Commission.
Welcome back. You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. I'm your host, Chad Amond, President and CEO of the Westmoreland County Chamber of Commerce. My guest today is Tony Ferry. Tony is the owner of a new facility. Well, I guess we can't call it a new facility. It's a beautiful building along Route 30 in Unity Township that was built back in the early 70s. It was Mountain View Interiors, and then it was another furniture store, and most recently, before Tony's launched it, it was the Westmoreland Museum of Art for a short time while they were doing their renovation. But Tony, tell the listeners, recap a little bit of what has happened and what was the 30,000 square foot furniture store. How did this vision get hatched?
Well, Chad, Bob and I, my partner, we had been looking for a location for a couple of our businesses for 3 years, and we wanted to stay around the Mountain View area. It is the center of our market, and we felt that the location couldn't get any better. We saw the furniture store that was vacant. We've tried to occupy it for a number of years, and as you said, it was the home of the Museum of Art for a couple of years. Then it was taken off the market when a local convenience store tried to tear it down, which we weren't too happy to hear, and Unity Township denied them their application. So we felt that we needed to repurpose the building. As you said, it's an iconic building. There's 42,000 cars a day that go through the intersection of Village Drive and Route 30. And we just thought that if we could take it and repurpose it into a professional center with a number of offices, not only would we create some jobs, we have easy access, we have parking, and everybody knows the building.
Well, I guess that's a good segue for my next question. You talk about 42,000 cars a day. I happen to live not far from the Mountain View Financial Center, so I pass it every day, and I noticed that you have an LED sign, a digital sign that has replaced a sign that was everyone listening. If anyone has passed it, they saw that there was a sign there with for a dentist's office that with some teeth that was not necessarily the prettiest sign. So I'm glad that you upgraded that sign, and talk a little bit about that.
Well, thanks, Chad. And yes, as you mentioned, the previous sign had gotten a lot of exposure, and that's what the corner does. So when that's on the corner of our property, and it was a stationary sign built for the former Mountain View Inn. So when we took over the Mountain View Financial Center, we petitioned the township to turn it into a digital sign. At first, they weren't too happy. However, with our renderings and our drawings, we told them and showed them what it was going to look like. And it's not your everyday digital sign. We went with real stone. We've had local stonemasons there for a month and a half building it. And we went with a high-quality digital sign that, if anybody's seen it, looks more like a TV set.
So is there sort of a vision for the sign? Are you going to promote community events, or can local businesses advertise on it? How is it going to work?
Yes, we are local guys. We want to be community friendly. Obviously, would like to have some of the participants and advertisers on the sign pay if they are a for-profit entity. However, at all times, we will hold 2 to 3 spots for nonprofits. If you are a nonprofit and you have an event coming up, as you recently had noticed, there was Hoopers for Troopers that raised money at the Latrobe Gymnasium, and a lot of folks said that they saw it on the sign, which they raised over $10,000, which was great.
Yeah.
We're happy that we could be part of that. But if you're a true nonprofit looking to raise money and you need exposure, call us a week before your event. We will be happy to put you on our sign, so a lot of people can see it, and it's both sides of 30, east and west.
Tony, how do they get a hold of you?
You can call us at 724-836-5550. and just ask to talk to somebody about the sign, and we'll put you in the right with the right folks.
Yeah, Tony, you have a long and robust background in Westmoreland County. If we were sitting here, a year from now, what are you going to say that would be the achievement that you would be celebrating? If we're sitting here, next Christmas, you're gonna say, "Hey, I'm really glad that we were able to achieve X."
Well, if that's an invite to come back next year, Chad.
Well, that is an invite.
I'm here. Thank you. To be honest, it's like most folks that try to do some things good for the community would like to see it a better place than we found it. Again, when the building was vacant, we wanted to repurpose it. We're getting a lot of compliments that it's turning out very nice with what we have intended. Next year, this time, the hopes of having Keller Williams a household name and having Keller Williams be one of the biggest real estate companies, if not the biggest real estate company servicing Westmoreland County, that will probably be my biggest goal. Okay, great. Well,
even this is a new venture, but you've had a huge impact on Westmoreland County and the community for years before this. What is one of your proudest accomplishments?
Well, Chad, you know me. I like to kind of fly under the radar. However, a couple of the shining moments that I had, I worked with the Sony Corporation, and when they moved away from our New Stanton site, they had a building that was the former Montgomery Ward warehouse that I was able to attract the George DeLallo Company into. And more recent, a year and a half ago, the Richard Scaife estate executors had called me in Ligonier and asked me if I would handle the sale of Mr. Scaife's estate. So those are a couple of the shining moments that I've had in my career, and we do it all. We'll handle anything from residential to commercial to development. Wow. And anything in between.
Well, Tony, thanks very much for the impact and the economic development. And I know you say that you prefer to fly under the radar screen, but the impact that you're having on Westmoreland County it matters, and we thank you for that. If you want to get a hold of Mountain View Financial Center, you call 724-836-5550. That's 724-836-5550. You're listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. Tony, I'm going to give you the final word here. Let us know, or let the listeners know how you would like them to engage with the Mountain View Financial Center.
Feel free to stop by. We are an open book. We are totally about the community, totally about Westmoreland County. Stop by, have a cup of coffee, see what we have in the building, and if we can service any of your needs, I'm sure there's something that we can help you with. Would love to see you.
If you have a not-for-profit and you're doing an event, I would suggest that you connect with Tony. If you're passing the facility in Unity Township by Mountain View, stop in and have that cup of coffee. I will say firsthand, it's one of the best. You've been listening to Westmoreland Community Connections on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB. Thanks very much for listening. Join us next week, same time, same place, for another edition of Westmoreland Community Connections. Thanks for listening, everyone.
This has been Westmoreland Community Connections, a look at issues and happenings in and around Westmoreland County. Join us again next week on Classic Hits 107.1 WHJB.
Westmoreland Community Connections is a presentation of the Westmoreland Drug and Alcohol Commission.